to create ultimately a mythos rendered official in the telling. The theme of invisibility is also one that is often explicated in critical works. Ironically, this essay quotes me. And this is the quote. This is then what one finds in Filipino fiction, a self that shares in all the contradictoriness of the national self. But I was talking about Filipino fiction, Philippine fiction. I'm not talking about Filipino-American fiction and the Filipino-American experience. I had to find this fellow and beat him up. Where and when and in what context I said this, I have no idea. But I like to think of that quote in the context of Jerry Cabuzal's entry in the Oxford Encyclopedia of Asian American Literature and Culture. And here is it. While Filipino-American literature shares common themes with other forms of Asian American literature, exile, displacement, racist exclusion, it is distinguished by its inability to adhere to an immigrant assimilationist paradigm. Filipino-American literature provides insight into the experiences of Filipino colonial and neo-colonial subjects who have migrated from the periphery to the center. The unique historical and geopolitical framework of U.S.-Philippine relations recasts themes such as the search for identity and home, the seduction of assimilation, and post-colonial resistance to U.S. Orientalist discourse. Do you agree? Such an insistence on a post-colonial framework would have both advantages and disadvantages. Not all Philippine-American relations are enacted in that great divide between that spans the Pacific Ocean. Thus, our immigrant displacement experience offer a distinct and different flavor from those of others who have been brought here to build American capitalism. If so, have we grasped the singularity of that experience and brought it to a level where it becomes not simply an ethnic experience, but an American experience? The way Black American writers have positioned their historical experience of slavery as decisively and definitively American, to the grudging acceptance of the white dominant society. Or for that matter, the way Jewish Americans have managed to make their experience of this country part of the U.S. public consciousness. What do we need to do to accomplish this? This is the question. It is inevitable that we talk about colonialism and neo-colonialism. Around 48% of Filipino-American community is immigrant. We still have half, with deep familial connections to the homeland. They remit to the Philippines approximately $33 billion annually, the largest remittance from any country in the whole world. Set against the 11% each share of tourism and the call center industry, this remittance from the United States represents 10% of the GDP. One result is that we do have a body of work that details survival skills. Resilience, it is called. I hate the word. While we wait for the day when we can meet a literature of transformation. I have often said we are resilient, but we cannot transform. We repeat and repeat and repeat to become something different from what we were. I understand that some writers are flexing muscles on this issue, claiming an identity distinct from that which is rooted in the archipelago. Such a flexing must take on the values which keep us from metamorphosing. Some years back, my organization was marching here in San Francisco for reproductive rights. We are an organization of mixed race. And so they were marching, and I get a call, I'm in New York. And this woman said, Ninotchka, we are being blocked by this whole phalanx of people holding and saying the rosary. And I said, yes. And he said, they're all your people. Yes, that's why I was so happy when Olivia Rodrigo donated all the earnings of our concert to an NGO in the Philippines helping women and children's health care, including reproductive rights. Applause for Now we have to take on these values that block our people from moving to the next level of evolution, social evolution. Even as we speak, there are groups, various groups and entities in our community openly advocating and organizing for political dynasties in the Philippines. We don't really care, except that they corrupt the values and the perspectives of those who live here. They live in a country where their very existence is anathema to the kind of politics that enable them to thrive in the United States. I mean, these political dynasties are just the opposite of anything that can allow you to survive in the United States. We have to confront these efforts. This push for our community to stagnate and even devolve in its development, to prevent our rise, as it were, and achieve the necessary transformation so that our presence in the United States is not only acknowledged, but felt in the blood, sinews, and bones of the United States itself. On October 17 to the 24th, the documentary Nurse Unseen will be shown at the Lee Neighborhood Theaters here at the Marina District. There is a backstory to all of this. In 2020, we in a firm, my organization, became aware of the silence around the number of healthcare workers of Filipino ancestry who were dying of COVID-19. We tried to find out who they were. The hospitals, the unions, the professional associations wouldn't give us the names. And finally, I got a phone call from one of our members in Los Angeles, Jolene, and she said 2 of her aunts died. And she said this, and this was her sentence, which really struck me as very, very important. They are gone, just like that. No mention No, nothing. They just... And that's when they said we will set up a digital memorial to all the Filipinos who are dying of COVID. We've discovered that Filipino healthcare workers in the United States were dying double the number of Filipino healthcare workers in the Philippines. How ironic. 33% of all healthcare workers that died during the COVID epidemic, 33% were of Philippine ancestry. We should not have to die to have our presence felt. This experience, though, taught us one thing: the need for an infrastructure to make that presence palpable, to be able to support that presence. How do we build an infrastructure to make our presence felt in writing and literature? About 1 million titles are published in the United States each year. 100,000 or more are titles of fiction. The average for film literature annually is like 12. It's increasing slightly with independent publishing. Nevertheless, we need to build a robust body of work. And for that, we must have the infrastructure. I must mention here Elda Rotor, Vice President and Publisher of Penguin Classics. One person in that whole vast industry, and she puts out a steady stream of Filipino authored books. One person. We must understand how important it is. You know, I get hundreds of calls asking, how do I become a writer? And I'm always tempted to say, you don't have to be a writer to help, build literature. You can be a book acquisitions editor, you can be an agent, you can be an editor, you can be part of the machinery that puts out books every year, 1 million titles, and make sure that more than 12 of Filipino authored books gets published. Writing is not the only way to build a body of literary work. Now, to sum up, thematically, moving from resilience to transformation is our path. Presence is our goal. Body of work is our tool, and infrastructure is our means. Thank you.
After that incredible opening keynote, we'd like to invite you. We have a small meet and greet with Ninotchka in the lobby. If you'd like to come back here, we're starting the next panel. It's going to be the Closer to Liberation showcase, Benign Things, the Activism and Theory and Practice. That's going to be at 11